You sit down at the charts again, same screens, same candles, same market, and somehow still the same pain, right? Another trade that looked good until it wasn't. Another setup you forced, another moment where you broke your own rules and told yourself you'd do better tomorrow. And after a while, that starts to eat at you a little bit because the losses are one thing, right? But what really hurts is recognizing yourself in the mistake. It's seeing the same pattern come out of you again and again, the same impatience, the same greed, the same inability to just sit still and trust the process. Most traders think they are one strategy away, one model away, one perfect entry away, one course, one mentor, one secret away from finally becoming profitable. But the truth is harder than that, right? You're not one strategy away. You're one version of yourself away. And that version does not appear overnight. It is built, right? Quietly, slowly, painfully, repeatedly. There is a concept that I abide by called Kaizen. Okay, Kaizen means continuous improvement, small improvements, but daily improvement. Not flashy breakthroughs, not dramatic reinventions, not waking up tomorrow as a completely new person, just the discipline to become a little bit better over and over and over and over again, right? And I genuinely believe this is one of those most important ideas as a trader that you can understand because trading has a way of exposing people who are addicted to speed, right? And most traders are. They want fast money, fast results, fast progress, fast proof that all the work they're putting in means something. They want to prove people wrong. But fast is exactly what ruins them because in trading, going too fast kills your progress. It kills progress when you jump from strategy to strategy before giving it one or giving it enough time to develop, right? It kills progress when you increase your size too early because you want to force your way into being a profitable trader. It kills your progress when you journal for 3 days and expect your psychology to transform by the weekend. It kills your progress when you have one good week and start acting like you're finally profitable. And it kills your progress when you try to fix 10 weaknesses at once and end up fixing zero. Okay. That is one of the biggest traps in the game. People think speed means seriousness. They think intensity means growth. They think if they just go a little harder, do more, consume more, force more, then the success is going to come faster, right? But trading does not reward urgency, ladies and gentlemen. Trading rewards refinement, and refinement takes time. That is the part that people hate, right? Because time is uncomfortable. Time forces you to wait long enough to see yourself clearly. Time forces you to admit that your issue might not be your strategy. Time forces you to face the possibility that what is holding you back is not a missing tool, but an unmastered habit, right? Time forces you to become honest with yourself, and honesty is where real progress begins. Most traders do not lack knowledge, ladies and gentlemen. That is not the problem. Nope. Most traders know more than enough. Trust me. They know to stop doing stupid things at least. They know they should not revenge trade. They know they should not over leverage. They know they should wait for confirmation. They know they should stop chasing missed moves. They know they should respect their bias, their risk, their plan. They know. They know, they know, they know. So why does it keep happening, right? Because knowledge is not transformation. And that gap right there is where most people live for years. They know what to do, but they do not do it consistently. And that is why Kaizen matters so much. Because Kaizen is not about becoming perfect, it's about closing the gap little by little, not all at once, right? That is another lie that trader tells themselves. They think the next chapter of their life starts with one huge shift. They tell themselves, starting Monday, everything changes. From now on, I'm locked in. No more mistakes, no more emotions, no more overtrading, no more hesitation, no more breaking my rules. And then by Tuesday, they're right back where they started, because that is not how who human beings change, ladies and gentlemen. You do not go from inconsistent to elite overnight. You do not go from emotional to discipline in one trading session. You do not undo months of years of bad habits with one burst of motivation. Motivation is loud, real growth is quiet. Motivation makes promises, growth keeps them. Kaizen understands that. Kaizen says do not try to become a perfect trader tomorrow, become a slightly better one today. That is it. Okay. And that sounds almost too simple. And that is exactly why people overlook it, because it's not sexy. It's not exciting. It does not feel like a breakthrough moment you can post online. It is humble. It is the decision to focus on one weakness, not your whole identity. It is the willingness to improve one behavior, to redesign your life every night after a red day, maybe your problem is overtrading. Then tomorrow your entire focus should not be to be the perfect trader. It is simply do not overtrade. Maybe your issue is entering too early, right? Then tomorrow your focus is wait for more confirmation. Be patient. Don't trade. Look, don't trade. Maybe your issue is moving your stops, and tomorrow your focus will be place the stop where it belongs and leave it alone. That is Kaizen. It is followed through by journaling, one correction, one layer, one cleaner action, one less mistake, and then you repeat it, right? The reason that matters so much in trading is because trading is one of the few things in life where your impatience can directly punish you. Not metaphorically, literally. Okay? You rush, you pay for it. You force, you pay for it. You size up too quickly, guess what? You pay for it. You skip the process because you want the outcome early and the market sends you the bill. Okay? That is why going too fast is so dangerous, right? When you go too fast in the gym, you get injured. When you go too fast in business, you build something unstable. When you go too fast in a relationship, you create illusions, you create distrust, you create a relationship built on bad habits. When you go too fast in trading, you destroy trust, right? Trust in your system, trust in your discipline, trust in yourself, even. That trust is hard to build. It's very easy to damage because once you keep rushing, right, you stop believing your own process. You become random. And once you become random, everything starts to feel emotional. Now, every session feels personal. Every loss feels like a failure. Every missed move feels like proof you're behind. Every winning streak makes you feel invincible, but every losing streak makes you question everything. And that is what happens when you do not have a slow, steady framework for growth. You become reactive. Kaizen is the opposite of reactive. Kaizen is grounded, right? It says, I do not need to fix my whole training career this week. It needs to get a little cleaner today than it was yesterday. I have something in my eye. That mindset changes everything, okay? Because now the goal is no longer to impress yourself. The goal is to improve yourself. And those are two very different things. A lot of traders are secretly trying to impress themselves. Okay, that is why they rush sides. That's why they look for massive wins. That's why they get bored taking base hits. That's why they sabotage consistency the moment it starts to look a little ordinary. They do not want progress. They want dramatic progress. Okay, that way that or they want the kind of result that feels undeniable. But real profitability is usually built in ways that almost feel invisible while it's happening, right? That is the poetic cruelty of mastery, right? It rarely feels cinematic when you're inside it. It feels repetitive. It feels slow. It feels uneventful. It feels like you're saying no more than yes. It feels like closing the platform instead of finding another trade. It feels like taking one clean setup and then being done for the day. It feels like boring discipline repeated until it becomes your identity. And then one day you look back and realize you're no longer the same trader. Not because of one giant leap, right? But because of a giant or thousand tiny decisions no one saw, right? That's Kaizen. It's not glamorous, it's sacred. It is respecting the process enough to stop trying to outrun it. And this is where it gets even deeper. Because Kaizen in trading is not just about becoming more skilled, it's about becoming more honest. You have to start telling the truth. Not the truth you say out loud to other people, the truth you say to yourself when no one's there, the truth that says, I knew that was not my setup. I knew I was trading emotionally. I knew I was chasing. I knew I sized too big. I knew I was trying to make money back instead of executing properly. I knew I was moving from processing to ego. And that level of self awareness is everything. Because you cannot improve what you refuse to name, okay? Kaizen only works when you stop trying to hide from yourself. And if you're in my Discord, you know I'll call you out in front of everybody if you're doing some dumb shit, right? But you need to be able to do that to yourself. I did it to myself in the mirror. I was in the mirror telling myself I was a fucking idiot, that I should not have done that I'm ruining my life, blah. Okay? You need to stop hiding it from yourself, not with shame, not with self-hate, just honesty, right? That's what's important because some traders hear all this and go too far the other way. They become hypercritical, they beat themselves up, they turn into mistakes, or they turn every mistakes into prove they're broken. That's not Kaizen. Kaizen is not self-destruction, it is self-refinement. It's not I'm terrible, it is I see the problem clearly enough to improve it. And that difference matters, okay? You need enough humility to admit where you're weak, but enough maturity not to make mistake or to not to make weakness your identity. You are not your worst training habit, but you do have to deal with it. And you deal with it by slowing down enough to isolate it, okay? That is the practical power of the whole concept. And after training day, after training day, you write down one mistake, not 10, not your whole life story, just one mistake. Then the next day, make it your mission not to repeat that one thing, just one, right? That sounds small, but it's everything because when you focus on one mistake, you actually give yourself a real chance to improve it. When you focus on everything, you improve nothing. And this is where the compound effect starts becoming real. One less revenge trade, one less forced entry, one more patient confirmation, one cleaner stop placement, one better decision to walk away, one moment where you catch yourself before emotion takes over. And that is how you build a trader. Not through a huge declaration, but through repeated corrections. Okay. And there is something else here that I think matters a lot. A trader who understands Kaizen stops being obsessed with immediate reward. That's huge because the market preys on people who need immediate proof, right? If you need today to validate you, you're vulnerable. If you need this trade to mean something about who you are, you're vulnerable. If you need fast progress to feel like you're on the right path, I'm sorry to say, brother, you are vulnerable. Kaizen frees you from it, right? It reminds you that process or progress is not always visible in real time. Some days your progress will look like not taking the dumb trade. Some days your progress will look like keeping the loss small. Some days your progress will look like recognizing a bad condition and doing nothing. Some days your progress will feel like or look like emotional control, not profit. That's real progress, right? And most traders miss it because they're only measuring growth in dollars. Money matters, obviously, but money is not always the best immediate measure of whether you're becoming better. Sometimes the best trade you made all week is the one you didn't take, okay? Sometimes the biggest sign of growth is not that you made more, is that you protected more, you preserved more, you stayed stable more. You stopped turning one bad moment into a bad day. That matters so much, okay? Because real profitability is not just built by making money, it's built by becoming hard to break. That is another beautiful thing about Kaizen, ladies and gentlemen. It creates durability, not just performance. Anyone can have a good week. Anyone can catch a move. Anyone can get hot for a little while, okay? But can you become stable? Can you become repeatable? Can you become trustworthy with your own process? Can you become the same trader on a win or on a loss? Can you grow without needing the drama? Can you improve without making every lesson feel catastrophic? That is what the long game asks of you, and the long game is the only game that matters because this is not about having one good month. It is about building a version of yourself that can survive the market, that can grow in the market, and eventually thrive in the market. Okay, and that version is patient. That version respects timing. That version does not rush size. That version does not confuse urgency with ambition. That version understands that slow is not the opposite of serious. Slow is often what serious looks like. Okay, that line alone can change how you approach trading. Slow is not weakness. Slow is control. Slow is awareness. Slow is precision. Slow is confidence without chaos, right? And some of the best thing that you will ever do in trading will not look impressive from the outside. It won't. Closing the laptop after one win, stopping after two mistakes instead of spiraling, right? Waiting through a full session because your new setup never came, or because your old setup never came, whatever. Reducing side because you know your emotions are off. Sticking to your plan on a day where your impulses are screaming to take the biggest trade of your life. That's strength. Not because it feels powerful in the moment, right? But because it is building someone powerful over time. And that is why Kaizen matters so much because it is a philosophy built for people who are serious enough to stop chasing transformation and start earning it. And the truth is, that's how profitable traders are made. Okay? Not by one big trade, not by one big payout, not by one big magical insight, but by steady relationship with improvement. By being willing to work or to look at yourself honestly, correctly calm yourself, and keep going without needing fireworks, right? Every step of the way. So, no, you do not need to become a perfect trader tomorrow. You do not need to fix your whole psychology by next week. You do not need to rush your way into the next version of yourself. What you need is smaller than that, right? More powerful than that. You need the humility to improve one thing and then do it again and again and again until one day your habits have changed, your reaction changed, your discipline changed, your results change. And the crazy part is when it finally starts working, it will not feel like magic. It will feel earned, okay? Because it was. You never were, or you were never supposed to become profitable in one leap. You were never supposed to become profitable in like one shot. You were supposed to become profitable in layers, quietly, slowly, deliberately, consciously. That is Kaizen, ladies and gentlemen. And in training, that might be the difference between the people who keep restarting and the people who finally evolve. You are not one turn away from success. You are one honest improvement away, right? Repeated over and over and over and over again. That is the game. That is the edge. And that is how real traders are built. Now, I do want to point out before I end the video that I am not a preachy person. I don't abide to this, but Kaizen really do be something that I abide by. I think it's important to think of it this way. 1% better every single day. You do not need to do anything crazy to have a great day. just being a little bit better every single day compounds to so much over time, right? It makes sense when you think about it. It really does do make me making sense, right? If you guys like the video, please like, comment, subscribe. If you guys want more videos like this, please let me know down in the comments below. I have a bunch of new videos coming up soon. Very exciting stuff on this channel, ladies and gentlemen. I'll catch you guys later. Peace. Also, free Discord in the bio if you guys do want to watch me trade live instead of preach. Love y'all. Peace.